All right. Welcome to my YouTube people. Welcome to my Clubhouse people. I'm so grateful to see you all here. Those of you on YouTube, if you see me looking down, it's because my phone is right here and I'm like mentally acknowledging the people that are listening on Clubhouse. Today, I want to talk to you about it's almost a prescriptive formula where I'm going to show you the exact steps that I took, at least in the way that when I look back on hindsight at the things that made the biggest impact. About 5 years ago, the steps that I took that brought me from being an absolute chicken who was really afraid that I wasn't capable of making a difference in the world, who didn't think anyone wanted to listen to me, who didn't think that I knew how to speak in front of other people, and start putting myself out there and stop playing small and do it imperfectly and do it before I have arrived. And the reason I want to share this with you is because I absolutely know that if I can do it, so can you. And I love the idea of giving you a shortcut that gets you there sooner. So this story is going to start 6 weeks before I quit my job as a hairstylist. So when I was a little girl, I wanted to be two things. The very first thing I remember wanting to be is Wonder Woman. And I had a really unpleasant childhood, as many of us did. And I remember one of my most vivid childhood memories is being at daycare. It was an in-home daycare. And when all the little kids took a nap, the big kids, and I'm thinking like I was probably about 6 years old when this happened. The big kids got to watch Wonder Woman on TV. And I remember just being enraptured by Wonder Woman. I thought she was so amazing. And my little girl mind, before the age of 7, we kind of live in a state of hypnosis. And so we believe anything is possible. And so I was going to be Wonder Woman. And I even went home and I would make myself like Wonder Woman outfits and jump off the couches. And Wonder Woman didn't fly. So I was going to say, pretend I can fly, unless she was in her invisible plane. And the second thing I wanted to be was a hairstylist. I loved playing with hair. I loved braiding hair. The only reason I would play with Barbies was to braid their hair. And so when I became a hairstylist, I absolutely loved it. It was more awesome than I thought. But I had this part of me that felt like, the connection that I felt with my clients was so awesome. And there was just a part of me that still wanted to be Wonder Woman, that wanted to have an impact on the world. And not only that, wanted to experience healing for myself, experience healing in the places where I felt stuck, where I felt broken. So when I started this journey, I'm going to start you in on this journey just before I gave my notice at work as a hairstylist. And I actually gave 6 weeks notice, which is unprecedented in this industry. Usually when a hairstylist gives notice, they say, get out of here right now. So they don't try to take their clients. But I had a great relationship with the salon owner, and she knew that I wasn't going to do that. So I wanted to give every single client, tell every single one goodbye. And it was like giving my notice 100 times. So leading up to this point, I had been in a place where I learned hypnosis more to help myself than anything. And when I saw how transformational it was, I thought, this is my chance to be Wonder Woman. This is my chance to make a difference in the world. And it was also the answer to a question that I had been asking. How can I make an excellent living and stop trading time for money? Because up till then, I had to be standing behind the chair in the salon to make money. And I didn't want that to happen anymore. And I was just cheeky enough to think that I could do it because I saw other people doing it. So this is where I am. And I knew that I wanted to become a hypnotist. I knew that I had tried to start careers before simultaneously as I was a hairstylist, and that it just had fallen flat. And I knew if I didn't kind of like mama bird myself out of the nest and force myself to fly, that I would just remain stagnant. I would keep doing what I had always been doing. So I I started getting brave. I listened to a podcast by someone who I consider to be my mentor. Oh my goodness, the room just refreshed and there's like 3 times as many people in here. Thank you so much. I'm so grateful you're all here, and I see someone on YouTube as well. So, focus, Lori. I can focus. So I was in a place where I was trying to decide, am I brave enough to quit my job? Am I really going to do this thing? Am I really going to become a hypnotist? And this is like a person who grew up thinking that hypnosis would send you to hell. Like I wasn't allowed to watch Scooby Doo because it had hypnosis in it. So I thought that's how most people were going to view me if I called myself a hypnotist. And I listened to a podcast from Tim Ferriss, who's a man who's had a tremendous impact on my life. And I can't remember what podcast it is, but he has an exercise, and I've put a link in YouTube. If you're watching on YouTube, I have a link to Tim Ferriss's fear setting exercise. And it's a powerful, powerful exercise because he has you ask some questions, and I'll walk you through a couple of them in a moment. He has you ask yourself some questions to move from a place of being afraid of taking action to moving to a place of being afraid of remaining stagnant. And one of the most powerful questions, and the one that sticks with me the most, is if I do this scary thing, for me, it was if I quit my job as a hairstylist and become a hypnotist, what is the worst thing that could happen? And in my mind, the worst thing that would happen is that I would go broke, that I would become homeless. By the way, both of those things happened. And then I would just go back to work being a hairstylist. Like my boss begged me when I gave my notice to come back. If like she told me the doors were always open, I could probably get a job in any salon. Maybe not now because I've been out of the industry for a few years. And my kids are all grown. There was really nobody that I would let down except myself. And when I looked at it like that, it's, all of a sudden that story that I had been telling myself about, oh no, what if fell to the floor. And there was one more thing. So I put 3 links in YouTube, and for anyone who's here in Clubhouse, it was the fear setting exercise. So if you just Google Tim Ferriss fear setting, you'll find his blog about it and his TED talk about it. And then the second was I went on a hike, and this is all kind of happening. Like in my mind, it was all kind of in the same week. But I went on a long hike and I listened to an audiobook on the hike, and it was called You Are a Badass by Jen Sincero. And that book, she just talks about how we hold ourselves back with our fears. We hold ourselves back with our doubts, with our what if scenarios that will likely never come true. I believe it. I don't know if I'll get this quote correct, but Mark Twain says, I've lived through a great many hardships and most of them never happened because we're like living these scary thoughts in our mind. So the second one was that book. And then the third one is a Brene Brown video. And I actually found this months later after I had quit my job and was trying to be brave enough to put myself on Facebook, to start sharing my story, to start letting myself be visible. Because you guys, we can have the most amazing tools, but if we're invisible and we're not letting ourselves be seen, it does not matter. We have to actually show people we're here. And I think that's probably the scariest part of all. And so that Brene Brown video, if you Google why your critics aren't the ones who count by Brene Brown, you'll find that video, or you can see it in this link on YouTube. So when I was getting ready to come into Clubhouse this morning, I went into Facebook to put a post up, and my 1 year ago memory popped up. And it's so crazy, you guys, because 1 year ago right now, I made a post that I'm actually going to read to you in a moment that talked about how my imposter monster was screaming in my ear and trying to keep me playing small because I was about to do a scary thing. And that scary thing that I was about to do a year ago was to launch a mastermind group where I was going to teach. My goal was to have 100 people in that group, which I did. That many people signed up, and there's 86 of them still a year later. 100 people in that group to walk them step by step through the process that I've taken to get from where I was to where I'm going. And at the time, I wasn't really sure how I was going to do it. I just knew that so many people had been asking me, and I had a heart to show them how. And so it was really just intention and a bold dream. And that's where I was a year ago. And so when I went in to make my post this morning, here's what I read. This is what I found. And I am not going to get emotional as I read this. I'm just going to declare that right now. I'm going to remain calm. It says, this day started off as a real self-doubty kind of day. I'm getting ready to do a big thing in my business, and it's freaking me out. My imposter monster is going nuts. That's that voice in your head that tells you can't do this because you're not ready because. As I was doing my hair and makeup this morning, I asked myself, who can encourage me? Our questions impact our life. And I thought of Neil Gaiman's commencement speech at the University of the Arts. As I listened, I could feel my spirits rising. I could feel my inner Wonder Woman, the part of me that knows it's okay to dream big, saying, you've got this. Here is an excerpt from the speech. And then I wrote, if you ask the Google, you can watch the whole thing, which I highly recommend. It's called Neil Gaiman, Make Good Art. And that link is also in YouTube. So here's what I wrote. And this is him, a quote from him in the video. First of all, when you start out, you have no idea what you're doing. This is great. People who know what they're doing know the rules, and they know what's possible and what's impossible. You do not, and you should not. The rules on what's possible and what is impossible were made by people who had not tested the bounds of the possible by going beyond them. And you can. If you don't know what's impossible, it's easier to do. And because nobody's done it before, they haven't made up rules to stop anyone from doing that particular thing again. And then my post says back to Lori Hammond, do you have big dreams? Is your imposter monster holding you back with self-doubtiness? What if you were born for this? You've got this, my friend. And then underneath, I just wrote a note to anyone who read this far. This is actually my Facebook memory from 1 year ago. And I was literally getting on Facebook to announce a video that I'm doing about telling people how to do scary things, because I'm doing a scary thing right now that's way out of my comfort zone, and my imposter monster is freaking out. So I said, only this scary thing is way bigger than the one I talked about a year ago. It's the result of me doing that scary thing a year ago. And now I'm in a place that is way cooler than I could have imagined when I wrote that post. Do scary things. You are braver than you realize. So I just want to encourage you. If there's a place in your life where you are feeling like you're not ready, where you are telling yourself a story that has anything to do with the past dictating the future, I invite you to let that go. And I think what I'd like to do is walk you through a little exercise right now. I wasn't planning to do this, but before I got on the call, you guys, I'm new to this YouTube Live thing, and doing YouTube Live and Clubhouse at the same time is really freaking intimidating. So thank you if you're watching. I see 2 people here, and I'm happy you're here. And I want to make sure I'm serving people on Clubhouse and YouTube at the same time. So what I would ask you to do, if you would just do this with me, if you're not in your car and you're in a place where you could do this, will you just bring your hands to your heart and just close your eyes for a moment? If I told you that fear you were experiencing is something you are doing with your body, would you be open to that idea? And knowing that when you shift things with your body language, with your breathing, with the words that you're saying to yourself, that it shifts so much, it creates such a more powerful change that works better than weeks, months, years, and decades of therapy. And operating on that assumption, if you're willing to just explore that possibility, then I invite you to just allow yourself to feel that fear. whatever has been keeping you playing small, like there is a part of you that knows that you are meant for something so much cooler than what you're doing right now. And I know several of the people in Clubhouse, and you are doing really amazing things, but maybe you know that you can be playing even a little bit bigger. Except there's that like, but dot, dot, dot. If only dot, dot, dot. What if dot, dot, dot. And so I invite you just to let yourself here in this safe place, in this safe environment, wherever you're watching or listening, just allow yourself to feel that fear for a moment. Perhaps putting yourself in the last time when you experience that self-doubt, and just be there now, seeing what you see, hearing what you hear when you're here, feeling that feeling. Notice how your body feels. Notice where you hold tension when you think these thoughts, when you say these disempowering things to yourself that you might not even be aware you're saying. It feels real, it feels authentic because you feel it. So just notice the physical feelings of this fear. And now what I'd like you to do is just imagine that you could just send that feeling a message. And that message can be, you're not going to try to change it. You're not mad at it. You're not trying to make it go away. You're just saying, oh, there you are. I see you. Just tell that feeling, just tell that fear, I see you. And notice how your body starts to relax just a little bit with that acknowledgement. When you stop being afraid of the fear. And now I'm going to invite you to shift your 3 B's, your body language, your breathing, and your belief. And I'll walk you through these one at a time. So watch what happens. I want you to just observe what happens in your body when you imagine that a magic string is pulling you up from the top of the head. And just do that right now. Just allow your head to lift up. You're still facing forward, but it's almost like you're a marionette on a string. And the rest of your body is just almost like hanging loose and limp and relaxed as you are being gently pulled up from the top of your head. Your spine aligns, your thoughts align. And if you would just lift your chin ever so slightly and look up. And if you're willing, I invite you to put a big, ridiculous smile on your face. Smile so big that the little crinkles on the side of your eyes crinkle up. And outstretch your arms as you look up. And then I invite you just to take a deep, deep breath from low in the belly. And let it out with a long sigh of relief. And do that once more. And this time, as you exhale, I just want you to think or even say out loud, all is well. What if I am okay? What if I can do this? What if I am worthy of showing up in the world in a bigger way? What if the past does not dictate the future? And that's that 3rd B, that's the belief. We think beliefs are so hard to change, but the reason you have those beliefs in the first place is because someone said something to you and you started saying it to yourself, and you said it over and over until it became who you thought you were. And when you have this posture, when you take on this body language, when you breathe in this powerful way, it equips you to then try on a new belief. And I just shared with someone this morning, hopefully somebody in this room needs to hear this. I see a lot of young people here. I'm 47, almost 48. And someone just told me, I think yesterday, and I haven't verified this, so I don't know if it's true, but someone just told me that Louise Hay started her publishing company when she was 63. And that woman, she passed away as a millionaire. I'm sure a multimillionaire who has a publishing house that is one of the most respected publishing houses in the industry. I know when I see a book from Hay House, I'm more likely to purchase it than I am a book from another publisher. So if you feel like you're too old, if you feel like you're too anything, whatever you think you're too of, I invite you to knock it off. I invite you to ask yourself, what if I am exactly where I'm supposed to be? And now, if you have moved your hands from your heart, I invite you to bring them back there and just imagine for a moment whatever that all of those things from your past, all of the things you've screwed up on, the mistakes you've made, the things that you feel guilty about, the things that haunt you and keep you awake at night, the things that make you think, "Oh, I've screwed up too much and I can't make a difference with my life." I want you to imagine right now that all of those things are stacking up in a line behind you. And just imagine them. If you're not visual, you can imagine them there in some other way. Just imagine that all those things from the past are behind you. And then I want you to imagine that there is a ginormous vacuum cleaner way back behind you. Perhaps you hear it. If you're an auditory person like I am, you hear that like sucking noise as that vacuum cleaner just pulls all of those things from the past away. And you realize today is my clean slate. Every freaking day you have a clean slate. The person you are yesterday does not have to dictate the person you are today. And you want to hear a secret, you guys? The way you change who you are being, the way you are showing up in the world is by just shifting your 3 Bs. I spent an entire hour teaching this when I was a new hypnotist. It was in a class called Self-Hypnosis for Hypnotists, and I taught them 4 Bs. The fourth was who you are being, and I realized that's overkill. We only need 3 of them. When you change your body language, your breathing, and your belief, which is just your self-talk, everything shifts. And if you've ever tried affirmations and they have fallen flat and they don't resonate for you, it's because you got to change the first 2 Bs first. I'm going to share one more story because this is something, I've been teaching for years. I think it's almost going on 5 now. I've entered my 5th year of doing this. And I teach the 3 Bs over and over and over. And you know how sometimes as teachers, we don't always remember to practice what we preach? I do my best to do so because I don't want to be a hypocrite, but sometimes we forget, especially when we're feeling that crappy feeling. And so yesterday I was sitting on my couch. I had sticky notes on my couch. Each sticky note represented a person who I was asking to come help me. And one was Louise Hay. I was there with Louise Hay. I was there with Tim Ferriss, Brene Brown, Oprah, Desiree, who's not here in Clubhouse today, but my friend Desiree was there, and Naval Ravikant. And they were my counsel, and they were sitting there with me because I was trying so hard to put out the scary thing that I'm doing. Because the thing that I started a year ago has culminated in a program that I have put together. I beta tested it with 40 of the people from my mastermind group, and now I'm launching it to the world, and I'm teaching people how to go from 0 to 6 figures doing group hypnosis sessions, because that's how I make my money. I do not do one-on-one sessions, and I don't think there's anything wrong with one-on sessions. It's just not my jam, because one of my empowering questions was, how can I stop trading money for time? And this is the answer to that question. But I was sitting on my couch and I was having a meltdown because I was supposed to have this landing page done. David knows this story. He and I chatted about it last night. I was supposed to have it done 3 days ago, and it's not done. And it's because my imposter monster is screaming in my ear and saying, that's not good enough. That's not good enough. And I've torn it apart and put it back together and torn it apart and put it back together. And there's two ladies who have been begging me to release this for weeks. And I sent them a link and I said, it's not done, but you can peek at it. And both of them purchased it. And so when I look back on that post that I made a year ago, and I realize that doing that scary thing led me to this scary thing. And like, I know this scary thing is going to lead me to something else that's scary and even bigger than I can currently imagine. And the amazing thing is that it's going to equip so many other people to do the same. And just so you know, in Clubhouse, the link to that program is up at the top of this page, and on YouTube, it's in here as well. And this is not me trying to get you to purchase it, because my heart and my goal for this session is just to get you to a place where you are willing to silence that imposter monster. And I don't think we ever silence it. We just move on. So I'm sitting on my couch. I'm in this headspace of like, I can't do this. I just want to quit. And it's so funny because in the past, when I wanted to quit, I just freaking quit. Like I was such a quitter, you guys. I quit everything. And I got a phone call from a family member that was a really, really disturbing phone call. And I won't go too deep into it because we all have our dramas in our life. But the fact that it came late in the day, it was like 5 o'clock in the evening. I used to say my brain switches off at 5 o'clock, and I decided that's not a very empowering thing to say about myself. I was mentally and physically tired, and I got this phone call that was disturbing. And I had a meltdown. I just went right back into like old Lori. I in the wintertime, I historically have been depressed in the wintertime. It's really easy for me to slip into depression because the wintertime tells my body it's time to be depressed. And I haven't done that because I haven't had time to do it. But all of a sudden it was like the whole universe caved in, and I had like a full blown meltdown, and I was pacing my floor, and I had my hands on my face, and I was saying, I can't do this. I can't do this. And I'm like, oh my gosh, am I actually going to say this on the World Wide Web? Here we go. I'm single. I don't have a man to help me. This is not a solicitation. Just so you all know, I'm okay. Like I just felt really, really alone and really, really hopeless. And it was this feeling in my body, like this heaviness. And I was just like having a temper tantrum, and I felt broken. I felt not okay. And all of a sudden, it's like this little internal voice inside me that's been listening to all the things I've been teaching others and learning for myself over the past few years just shifted. And as I was pacing, I let that magic string pull me up from the top of my head. I shifted my body language. I changed my gait as I walked. I still had my hands over my face, and I just started saying, oh, I wasn't saying I can't do this. I was saying, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. And I just shifted and I started saying, I know what to do. I know what to do. I know what to do. And I didn't believe it at all. Like I did not freaking know what to do, but it felt so much better just shifting my 3 Bs. All of a sudden, I at least had hope that I could make it through the end of the day. And when I woke up this morning, I'm telling you guys, I had so many ideas about things that I could do, like concrete action steps, and a feeling of safety and a feeling of being held by the universe or whatever it is out there that sees me and that knows, like it's so hard sometimes. So I just want to tell you, like, this is not about me. The only reason I ever share my story, oh my gosh, I did it. There's tears coming out of my eyes on YouTube. And it's okay now. The only reason I ever share my story is because I absolutely know that if I can do it, you can do it. And whatever that scary thing is that's been holding you back, whatever, like that, the very fact that there's a part of you that wants to do it means that you are equipped. You might not be fully equipped now, but as you take that first baby step and you do it afraid, then the next baby step and you do it afraid, and you just keep moving forward one baby step at a time, that path will unfold before you, and it will be so much cooler than you thought that it could be. Okay. I feel like I need to close this experience. I hope you all are enjoying this. Elizabeth, I see your hand up in Clubhouse. If you mean for it to be up, will you please leave it up? And in a moment, I will bring you up on stage with me after I close out YouTube, because I don't know how to stream other speakers into YouTube yet. And if you don't mean for it to be up, you can put it down and I won't, but I just want to acknowledge that I see you. So what I'd like to do before I say goodbye to my YouTube friends, there's still 2 people in here. So I don't know if you watched the whole way through or if it's 2 new people, but if you watched the whole way through, thank you so much. If you want to tell me something in the chat, just to make it a little bit more real, I would love it. It's really weird talking to myself in a room like this. So what I would like you all to do is just once more, just bring your hands to your heart. And the amazing thing is, if you've been doing this, you are actually creating an anchor, which means every time you bring your hands to your heart in the future, it's a place of comfort. I do this for myself all the time because every week in my Trancy Tuesdays group, we all do this together. And it's created such a way for me to let my body move into peace. And when our body is experiencing peace, our mind experiences peace. So, with your hands on your heart, I invite you once more. I'm going to teach you something I learned from Andrew Huberman. It's called a physiological sigh. And this is a way to turn off the chemicals of anxiety or panic in under 10 seconds. And the way it works is you take a deep double inhale through the nose. So it sounds like this. And then a sigh of relief out the mouth. If you've ever seen a child, or perhaps what I was doing yesterday, someone crying uncontrollably, and when they start to calm down, they go, that's a physiological sigh. And it actually offloads stress chemicals from the body and produces peace chemicals, like chemicals that allow you to remain calm. So, with your hands on your chest right now, I invite you just to take a physiological sigh by breathing in deeply through the nose 2 times and then exhaling out the mouth. And just think to yourself, I am here and all is well. And one of the reasons I teach people to make a good living doing group sessions is because I believe with all my heart that group sessions are incredibly powerful. And it's because of this right here, because there are, let's see, 3, 6, 7, 8, 9 of us here between Clubhouse and YouTube Live who are all doing this together. And there's power in that. And I just want to tell each of you, I see you. Even though I don't see you, I see you with my heart. And the most amazing thing is, this energy, whatever this magic is, it is created when a group of people comes together. It doesn't know time and space. So if you're watching the replay or listening to the replay in Clubhouse, I hope you're doing this with me because I see you and something amazing is about to happen. All right, I'm going to say goodbye to my YouTube stream, and then I'm going to invite Elizabeth up on stage, and anyone else who wants to come up on stage and ask questions or share their story, you are so welcome to do so. Bye, everyone. Okay,